Hello and welcome to Astro Mechanics. I am Sensei Christopher Witechi here on the Human Garage TV network. We're on Instagram. We are live and we're doing our weekly Astro Mechanics episode. So nice to see everyone here. If you are joining here in the live, be sure to tell us where you are from. I'd love to know your sun sign, your sun degree. If you want to go super deep and get extra credit, I'd love to know your rising sign and rising degree and moon sign and moon degree. It's good to see everyone here. Hi everyone. Energy has been pretty intense. We're going to talk about the astrology of what's going on with the planets right now. We're going to talk about this upcoming week, and we're going to bring at least 3 people up on camera to talk about their story and how they are coping right now in this energy. So nice to see everyone. So put in your request if you want to come on live with me. We are in the beginning of May, and I'm calling May the Grand I Manifest. In fact, let me bring you up to speed on sort of how we got to this place spiritually. You know, energetically, the thing about astrology is that it shows us sort of how energy is mutating and shifting, in our lives. And what astrology really does is it shows you basically forces you where God is going to bring things to your attention. That's really all astrology is. It brings things to your attention. And this is great because otherwise we don't pay attention. Everything we don't pay attention to becomes subconscious in our life. So it's sort of good that the planets and the energy bring stuff to our attention so we can actually make changes. And also at the same time, we have lots of slower moving planets like Saturn and Jupiter and Uranus. These slower moving ones are slowly bringing things to our attention. So the fastest attention actually is Mercury around the sun. That's every 88 days. Probably that's the second fastest. The first fast is actually the moon moving around the earth every 28 days. That's the fastest thing. So things are being brought to our emotional attention every 28 days. Things are being brought to our intellectual attention every 88 days. With Venus, it's about half the pace of about twice a year it's brought to our attention. And then, of course, once a year for the Earth. And then once every 2 years with Mars or our ego's attention. So every 2 years it's brought to your ego's attention. And that's what we do as astrologers. We're looking at what is being brought to your attention. Now, right now, where we've been working through this season is we have been having our past life karma or subconscious triggers brought to our attention in March. That's where this change began. We began to change our life. And at that point, it was about coming to the realization that we have to end a spiritual approach to ourselves. And a lot of times that spiritual approach, how do you know if it's a spiritual versus a physical approach? A spiritual approach will manifest in many different areas of your life. So for instance, if you have a spiritual issue with self-worth, where you're not really good at owning what you are, valuing yourself, that will play out in your relationships, in your job. It will play out with your children, it'll play out with friendships, it'll play out in the things you create. So when you have an issue that's playing out in many different areas, that's a spiritual issue because it's pre-manifest, it's spiritual. So in March, we basically said to ourselves, okay, I'm done with these spiritual issues. I've realized what are issues and what are not issues in my spirit, and I'm ready to change these spiritual issues and these themes in my life. Then we went into April, what I called the Grand I Am. We had a solar eclipse on April 8th, and at that point, we said, all right, I am this new person now that I have let this all go behind. So we kind of command and demand, and what I call a Grand I Am intention, and that solar eclipse really was sort of the christening of that new ego expression of yourself, the greatest version of yourself to date, basically. Now we're in Taurus. And so Spirit is saying, now that you have ended your spiritual issues, now that you've claimed who you are, it's now time to Grand I Manifest. It's time to manifest something in your life that your heart has always wanted to manifest. And let me just tell you, this is going to be the most fertile month in my entire lifetime as far as astrology is concerned. When I say fertile, I mean the power of the law of attraction. You could say, let's say, oh my gosh, I'm interested in grasshoppers. Then walk home, go on your porch, you'll see a grasshopper hop off your porch. That's how fast things are going to manifest. And I have to tell you, good and bad. God universe doesn't see a difference between good and bad. So infections can grow out of control. Drama can grow out of control. A bad situation in a relationship could grow out of control. So negative stuff is going to grow as much as positive stuff is going to grow. And so part of what this is about in this particular time is that you want to be conscious not to feed the negative stuff in the month of May at all. Okay. Be careful what you say. Definitely don't hit something twice. And you could always take something back. That counts in consciousness, by the way. There's no spiritual referee. You're manifesting your life. So if you say, oh, I wish that person would just fall off a cliff. Whoa, hold on. I take it back. I take it back. You can pull that back because your consciousness will only manifest and put energy behind what you feel good about. So you can always have a take back. Now, this Grand Eye Manifest is gigantic because Jupiter and Uranus are together in the high degrees of Taurus, and they're both planets that expand. Jupiter expands the conscious narrative and the meaning of things, like sort of here in 3D space, and Uranus expands amongst dimensions. So as we are manifesting right now in this particular month, we're not just creating something. We are creating something that is bigger than it's ever been. We have more belief that we can than we ever have before. So we're more believing than we've ever believed. And we're looking at it from a different dimension. We're starting to see things in a different dimension. And I think this different dimension is a reflection of our spiritual work. So let's go back to my example where you had the karma of having low self-worth. You didn't value yourself. You never gave yourself credit. If you don't give yourself credit, well, then you probably have said to yourself, "Oh, I'm never going to be more than middle class. I'm never going to make more than $100,000 a year. I'm never going to be able to drive one of those fancy electric cars." And you set sort of a ceiling. You put your own ceiling on what you can manifest by having that low self-worth. Well, if we heal that self-worth, and you say in Aries, the grand I am is I am valuable. I own that I am valuable now. Well, what Uranus does is says, okay, now you're going to start to manifest from the perspective not of debt or less than or lack, but manifest from the perspective of abundance, growth, and potential. So one of the big reasons that we're in a very fertile month is that we have this potential to immediately shift perspective as soon as we learn. And what that does is allow us to grow like we've never grown before. The last time we had this conjunction was in 1938. And I've been telling to all my other networks that this was the boom of manifestation that actually paid for World War II. All the ships that were going out 24 hours a day, Rosie the Rivets that was in the factories, there was, welding stuff, right? We saw the women welding, creating radar, nuclear weapons, television, even color television was invented in World War II actually, but it wasn't actually a product, but they figured out the technology, rocketry, really all the major inventions that we use, plastic even. I mean, none of them are really good for us, but that big boom in creativity and productivity, and the fact that the United States single-handedly pretty much supported World War II's supply efforts, again, I think Jupiter conjunct Uranus. Well, now here we are again, only it's AI, it's a lot of different potentials. And how it applies to you, my friend, is this is the moment where you want to stake your stake in the world of consciousness and say, at least declare what it is that you want to manifest this year. And you may not actually get to it, but if you declare it now, you will sort of create the conscious vehicle for it to happen. And sometimes we create the vehicle and then we put it down and we pick it up later. I'm picking up vehicles I created about 15, 20 years ago, things I thought of 20 years ago. I'm actually picking those vehicles up now and manifesting in those vehicles. So time is irrelevant, but it is important now to start to set your sights higher and to see what's possible for you. This is a great money-making time for people who want to make money. Now, the other side of this month, and I'm just going to put the seeds in here into the piggy bank, is we have Jupiter moving into Gemini on May 25th. Yeah, May 25th. And the sun goes into Gemini, of course, on May 20th. Yep. And what that means is that we're going to have a real big change of mind. Whatever happens this month, it's going to shift the way you think about yourself. And you're really going to take a good look at yourself in the mirror, because 1 month from now, you're just not going to see yourself the same way. You're not going to think of yourself in the same terms. You're not going to use the same language to describe yourself to yourself. You're going to be in a place where you start to fall in love with some idea about yourself or idea about life. And I call this the summer of love, because I believe you're going to fall in love with some sort of an idea, and you're going to run with that idea all summer long, all the way to Leo in August, where you either marry that idea in your heart or you reject it after having explored it. So it's an incredibly exciting time where we're about to do a tremendous amount of change. And today I'm going to bring 3 people up on camera. And I'd like to know, just before you guys raise your hand to come on, what your grand I am has been. What are you now? What would you describe yourself? What was the growth you've gone in the first, 2 quarters of the year? And secondly, the second question to ask is, what is your intention for manifestation? What do you declare you intend to manifest? And by the way, coming on here, hi Brandon, thank you so much for the love. Coming on here and declaring it live is a master manifestation. The truth of the matter is the more people that co-create with you, like say, oh, I bet they'll be good at that, that all energy goes into the vote of your creation. Now, one could also argue, if you're going to manifest something risky or something that people wouldn't want for you or wouldn't understand, hold it to your chest, and don't mention it to other people. So I usually, when I'm manifesting something, first of all, when I'm manifesting something, I don't even tell my business partner. I wouldn't even tell my wife if I was married. I'm not, but I wouldn't even tell. There are some things that I keep really, really close. Then I bring it to the people I love most. So if I was in a romantic relationship, I would bring it to her, right? But then after that, I still keep it close to my vest until I've developed it to a certain degree. And then maybe I show my coworkers or tell my coworkers. By the time I tell the audience, what I'm creating, it's done. And I'm telling you so I can sell it or I can spread the word. But I actually don't keep the general public in my co-creation. But it's good to know, but you can do big picture things like, I'm going to manifest this business, this health business. Cool. The general public's not going to pull you down on that one, that type of thing. But something to keep in mind, basically. Yes, let's see. Super hugs to all. Yes, exactly. Just check it in. One other thing about today, and then we'll bring somebody up, is Pluto's retrograde. Pluto has retrograded. And what that indicates is that we are sort of on our own vibrationally now. When Pluto's direct, it's sort of breaking up dense consciousness. That's what I realize it does. It breaks apart density and makes it all into pieces. So it technically shatters dense consciousness and forces you to see like the cracks and the boundaries and the lines and the edges of what that consciousness is. It's been breaking up our dense consciousness, our awareness around our vibration. So we have a part of us that is always aware of vibration, but has fallen asleep. In fact, we were born with that part of us asleep, except for some select few people who have particular planets in Aquarius. So if you have the moon in Aquarius, the sun in Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius, Jupiter in Aquarius, I would say Neptune in Aquarius, really any planet in Aquarius, frankly. But some of the slower movings represent deeper, longer term awareness. Mars and Venus, the client might just have recently been aware of vibration, like last lifetime or something. But overall, most of the population is not aware of vibration, a vibe. You can feel a vibe. You are connected to the vibe, but you're not aware that you're connected to the vibe. So, you walk into a restaurant that has a certain vibe, or you're in front of a person, they have a certain vibe. There's a part of your soul that does nothing but interpret vibe and then be able to reverberate that vibe back to another person or create it into something else. So Pluto has awakened the vibe with ourself, the vibe to our heart and the vibe to our emotions. So being able to vibe with our heart and emotions, all right? And Pluto has awakened that. And for the most part, people have been vibing with their heart and their emotions since Aquarius. So most people may not be able to get along with their heart and emotions, but most people have been overall a good friend to their heart and emotions while Pluto is direct, because Pluto is pushing for healthy boundaries around your heart and your feelings vibration. Now that Pluto retrogrades and pulls back, what that means is it's just an energy flow Now that we're not pushing forward and Pluto pulls back, you have been awakened to the vibe, but now Pluto isn't managing the vibe for you. And so now you find yourself where you have to maintain your vibe. Okay. And this is for the next 5.5 months, you have to maintain your vibe until Pluto goes into Capricorn. Then we'll talk about that when that month comes. Whole nother thing. Maintaining your vibe means if you're in a good mood, you want to protect that you're in a good mood. You don't want to let anything get in the way of that good mood. You don't want to let your own thoughts get in the way. You don't want someone else's comment on a post to get in the way. You don't want anything to interfere into your vibe with yourself. And you're probably going to find maybe like in 2 or 3 days that you get kind of cranky and irritable because because your vibe will have slipped one way or another into a specific energy. And as a result, you would have thought it would stay there automatically, but it can't stay there automatically. So energetically, you're going to have to, as of today, start maintaining your vibe. And we'll talk about that too if anyone's having some issues or feeling that already. All right. Who would like to come up on screen with me? I think I've covered everything. Oh, there's one last thing we'll cover, and then we'll bring someone on screen. We are preparing for a new moon in Taurus, which will be next Tuesday. And that new moon is at 18 degrees. At apex is around 11 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. That new moon is actually the planting of what you intend to manifest. So we're going to talk about the Grand I Manifest and the Grand I Am today. But be aware, you want to have a magic bean to plant next Tuesday. And you may even want to literally plant. You might want to literally plant something as a symbol. We have an artisan at Serious Joy who gives us ceremonies around new moons. And one is to actually plant a plant that represents the intention that you are growing in your life. Brilliant idea, actually. So as you see that plant grow and you water that plant, not only do you have this plant in your house, but you are planting ideas and planting things that you want to grow. And it sort of just kind of consciously shows you, as a symbol, your energy growing in that particular direction. But anything you plant next Tuesday will be super fertile. Any things that happen next Tuesday, a job interview, a first date, an introduction to a product or service, that also would indicate a very special relationship. And the timeline of May is basically you plant the seeds on Tuesday, May 7th, and then on May 18th, which is just after the Human Garage event on May 12th. So May 12th, everything is taken higher. So the universe sort of does miracle grow on May 12th. So May 12th is a Uranus ruled day. It's going to be a quantum day at the Human Garage in Austin, Texas. And then May 18th, the Sun conjuncts Jupiter, which then sprouts up your intention even higher. And then May 23rd, Venus conjoins Jupiter at 29 degrees, even higher. So each of these days that I've just given you, May 7th, May 12th, May 18th, and May 23rd, are big growth spurts if you plant the seed next Tuesday, okay? And that seed, we'll talk about it, but at minimum, you would want to write down your intentions and put it somewhere, or burn it and give it back to God, or put it on your altar and honor it. That'd be the minimum. The best would be that you sign a contract or buy a domain or open up, get a business credit line or something on that day. So fascinating stuff. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about, for each of the people coming up, what is your grand I am statement? What did you become last month? And then this month, the question is, what is your grand I manifest? And let's bring someone up to talk. Let's take a little bit talk. Alrighty. I'm going to try Diane. Diane. Hello, Diane. This is my owl mug, everybody. One of my totem animals, owl. I love light, love light, mama. So I'm not really feeling Diane. I guess she's not coming, or the software's not letting her. Sometimes the software does not let us. Try one more time. Thank you. I know, isn't it cute? I love owls. Okay, Diane is not turning out. How about Divine Light Council? Who can deny the Divine Light Council? Divine Light Council. Here we go.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you
I'm
doing?
doing great. What's your name?
Karina Rose.
Karina Rose. I love it.
Yes.
And where are you calling from, Karina?
I am from Southern California, San Diego to be precise.
Hmm. Welcome. I love San Diego. And what's your sun sign and degree?
Uh, Libra,
What degree do you
Libra.
know?
12th house. Not not sure
Is
what
what
degree.
what number?
Uh,
Do you know what the number your son is? It's okay if you don't, but I can tell magic if I know the step number. I also think she froze because she's looking at it. She's looking it
21
up.
degrees. 21 degrees.
21 sun. Okay. What about the moon and rising sign?
Uh, I don't know what degree, but I'm Aries, Moon,
Okay.
a Scorpio rising.
Oh, nice. Okay. And what's going on? How can I be of service to you today?
So I have so many ideas. Um, I had a huge transformation like back in December, January. I have so many ideas, but life has pushed me completely different, but not quite.
Mm-hmm.
I just started a new job. I started to be more spiritually connected again. So now I'm like my energy has been very like high vibe. Like naturally, even if anything happens, I just laughed about it. So
Good.
yeah, so then now it's like I want to there's still part of me where it goes and struggles where like, oh, I'm not where I need to be yet or my dreams. So then there's part of me it's like relax, it's gonna the ideas are coming and then when just basically I'm like it's like a tower moment that I had so I'm putting the base like I am building again reconstruction from a foundation that is going to be completely different for what I had before. So ideas that are coming like the intentions that I'm setting is to bring those ideas into fruition. Um, there's things it's so funny how you were mentioning that there's things that you keep to your heart. The same thing with me. It's like there's two big dreams that I keep to my heart, and those are because I know that they're going to come in later in life but right now I my foundation is to build that business that as a life coach I've coached people before but I do it for free
Mm,
and I get so many good I get so many reviews so all I ask for them is please give me a review so the energy exchange can be there. So I just tell them like, hey, I'll provide a coaching session for you, but then just give me that review. And I got in so many reviews, but now I have the reviews of what I do with it if I haven't even established my business yet. So that's where I'm at. And then obviously my intention also to manifest a partner, a life partner that's in the same wavelength as myself. And then I
hmm.
have many options. There's like so many options of work, so many options of like potential partners, so many options right now, but it's like me just staying grounded to where my vision is going, if that makes sense. So
That makes
yeah.
this a great update. Well, with the Scorpio rising, you probably have you don't know what degree your Scorpio rising is, do you?
I
By chance? Yeah, well, we're curious, so I can give you a better reading. And oops, I think we lost her there. Oh goodness, that was a mistake on my part. I shouldn't have had her go look. There we
sorry.
go. That's
It's
okay.
it says 12 something, 12 degrees, I think.
12. Okay, yeah. Okay. So 12 degrees Scorpio. So Pluto's technically in your third house. Um, Libras all Libras right now are moving away from a way that their ego used to be when it comes to what they chased after in life. They're now chasing after
Yeah.
something else. And so there's been a lot of change. They're also chasing after a different type of relationship than they've been in the past. So they're
Wow,
basically all
that's exactly yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Like I'm no longer attracted to the partners that I used to be attracted to. Like
Yeah.
I was more attracted to the masculine energy, whereas like tough macho man. Now I'm like attracted more to the softer masculinity, if that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
it's right, yeah, for
Interesting.
sure.
And so that transformation is really going to take sort of almost all year. I would say by your birthday, you're energetically going to be, but the way you position for that other person is basically by the way you treat yourself. The truth of
Hmm.
the matter is, you're treating yourself a certain way by going after the macho man. There's a certain
Yeah,
there's a self treatment in the background there. And so if you want to expedite finding the right person, you want to focus on treating yourself differently in the background to prepare yourself for that person. That would be, I think, what needs to happen. But the for you, the manifestation for you, and as a Libra, is in some sort of a life change. So what Libras
yes,
are manifesting this month is a change of their whole life, kind of a
yes.
butterfly moment where you're becoming a butterfly, or and I would say you're kind of going into the cocoon this month, and you're going to pretty
Mm.
much stay in the cocoon all summer, actually. Summer in the northern hemisphere, and by your birthday the new you will come out on the scene. So I would just say be easy on yourself and not have a lot of expectation, because it's such a profound change. Libras haven't changed this much in 18 years. That's how
Wow.
that's how profound it is. It's a very big deal. Yeah, it's a big cycle. So you're onto a whole new period. So what is your grand I am now? What would you say you are now that you weren't before?
Right now, so I would say I'm more of a, it came more of a like the ego that you were talking about. My ego self, where it's like where I would see things that will happen to me, and I started like recently learning about my karmic lessons, where I was and you were right about the partners. I was like manifesting partners before where they were avoidant, they treat me bad, and I didn't understand why. And then I had to go internally, and I realized that I was manifesting partners that would punish me because I wanted to punish myself, because
Oh,
for some reason
wow.
I felt like I needed to suffer, and I needed to like be treated this way, even though in my conscious awareness I was like all about spirituality and loving yourself and stuff. But internally I had this feeling of guilt and suppressing inner, I don't know if it's past lives or in this life, but I was just feeling like, or the way that I was treated as a child, I was treated like very, very bad, where I felt like, oh, that's a normal thing. That's love. If they don't
Mm-hmm.
treat me bad, then they're not, that means they're not caring. So I
Interesting.
discovered recently, yeah. So then I discovered recently where it's like the reason why I was manifesting these partners was because it got to the point where my spiritually I was exhausted, like emotionally I was exhausted, and I just didn't understand if I'm doing all the work, what's happening. And then that's when I realized, hold on, what's my pattern? And then it's because internally I was um I was accepting that because of partners, and I was choosing that because of I felt like I needed to be punished, to be honest. Like
Mm-hmm.
the inner
And that
punishment.
and that's it. So the self treatment was that you wanted to punish yourself. And so
Hmm.
you brought in relationships that punish
Hmm.
you, just like you said. A lot of Libras have an ego issue where they want to save or fix the person,
Yeah.
and they get caught
Mhm.
up in adopting these sort of stray puppy men,
Yes.
like and sort of take care of them and nurture them. But then the Libra gets bored and they start looking around
Yes.
and start fishing. And Libras are usually shopping for the next one while they're in a relationship. That's one of the scandalous parts of Libras. They start to
Pretty
secure that.
much.
Yeah,
You have the wandering eyes.
yeah, you do. They start to rope it in. They just sort of weigh their odds and whatnot. But this is going to be what I call the summer of love, by the way. So I feel there is a chance that Libras will find that person this summer. There is a possibility, but if not by this summer, after their birthday, if they're not in a relationship, I would that would be my bet. Because what happens after November, December is Libras start having to cope and change inside themselves again. I think that's because they're in a relationship, most likely. If not in a romantic one, and people are like, oh, I don't want a romantic one. Oh, then you'll have karma with your boss, or you'll have karma with your BFF. Like you're not getting out of it.
Yeah, yeah. That's so funny because I've been getting predictions that this year for sure, it's like a possibility when it comes to astrology and it comes to like the psychic readings that I've gotten, that I would in the summer I'm gonna like potentially meet potential partners that I can, and by the winter I should have someone that slowly building that relationship. Um,
Yeah,
so
well,
yeah.
Scorpio risings for you it's a little sooner than the average Libra because you have a Scorpio rising. So Jupiter's in your house of marriage, and then
Mm.
Jupiter's going into your house of intimacy over the summer. And you really can't have intimacy by yourself. I mean, you can, but not technically.
Yeah, I try. No, it's hard.
Right.
Just
So
kidding.
it's not really
Yeah.
pulling it off. Well, it's an intimacy transit. So it's one of those times where us as astrologers, we know the client's probably going to find someone because you can't go through an intimacy transit alone,
Mm,
basically. There's
okay.
a part usually where you are alone and you get to know yourself really well. But quite
Mm,
often, when Jupiter goes in the eighth house, the client ends up meeting someone, at least meeting someone right now.
I
So it's
know. I mean, I'm speaking to someone, but it's just like speaking like friends and slowly. But
well,
yeah,
it needs to be love,
yeah,
ultimately, right? Yeah. So, I mean, Libras themselves have not really been fully engaged in love so far in this lifetime. They've been engaged in a lot of, in some cases, ego, where they just like they want to be able to save the person or whatever. So it's been for ego reasons. It's been because they're good at it, and to some degree, they just like doing it, not necessarily because they're in love.
yeah.
So I think one of the things they're tapping into is that giddy, crazy love story inside of them. And it first starts with falling in love with
With
yourself and
herself,
really
yeah.
being proud of yourself, and that's where you are right now. But it's going to be about
Mm,
love for the next 20 years for Libras, real, true love, and keeping the heart open. Because Libras tend to intellectualize; they don't stay in the glow of
yeah.
the heart. They
We
start
stay in
thinking
our
about
minds
it.
a lot.
They do,
Mm,
yeah, totally. And it's like, sure, of course I love you, honey, of course. And it's like, I'm not feeling it, is what the person on the other side of a Libra sometimes says. So it sounds like you got all your shit together, Karina.
yay. Yes, thank you. I'm just I got into a point where it's like I appreciate this life and I am just thankful to be here in this earth to experience everything. And I'm just, what's meant for me will come. And then I will make sure that I do what it's need to be done in order to get there. Where it's like I'm not pushing it, I'm not trying to, it's just I'm going with astrology. I love astrology because it made me realize who I am. Like my Jupiter is in Cancer. So I
Hmm.
understand why I care so much about helping others. Now I care about why I bring this motherly energy into the world. And so astrology has helped me so much to realize who I am and why I am. It doesn't mean that it has to be fixed that, but at least I understand myself based on that.
Oh,
So
yeah, totally.
yeah,
Amazing. And it
yeah.
gives you that reflection. Yeah, that's what I love about astrology because it is 100% accurate.
Mhm.
And even if it was not accurate, there's nothing else on earth that makes you think about yourself in those areas. So it helps you, if nothing else, as an exercise. Okay, what are your emotions like? What are
Mm,
your beliefs like? And Jupiter in Cancer is that your beliefs are based on how you feel.
mm,
You're not really analytical in the sense of finding facts and figures and looking up, what philosophers have said. You just get a feeling and you believe it
yeah,
based on what you're feeling. So
yeah,
yeah, terrific. Well,
pretty
come
much.
back and tell us how things go. Let me, when you get married, I'll marry you. Let me know.
Yes, okay. All right, all right.
That's,
I am down for that.
Astrological. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you
coming
so
out.
much.
Appreciate it. It was nice
Bye-bye.
talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.
All right, that was a fun conversation with a Libra. And she's affirming exactly what I've been thinking. Let's bring up a male energy this time. I think you have to X out in the upper right hand corner.
Okay.
Yeah, and Instagram takes its sweet time. All right, there she goes. She was like, okay. Okay. I was going to try to bring up Vince. Let's see if Vince will come up. Let's see if Vince will come up. What about just falling back in love with myself? Is that a Libra who's asking that? If a Libra's asking that, then great, do it. But you're not going to last very long that way. Libras are always in relationships. That's what they do. It doesn't have to be romantic. You could, put yourself first. I know a lot of master Libras who actually, are very, very picky. And so pretty much are single for the most part till they find the right thing. But even then, they're still looking. All right, Vince isn't responding. I'm going to go to Lee. Let's see if Lee comes on. Hello, Lee. Hello. Pisces, March 5th. Cancer, single women. Vince was unable to join. Hello, Lee. How are
Oh,
ya?
hello. Oh
How's-
my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Let me go sit down.
Okay, that's a good
Yeah,
idea. Sitting down is
sorry, I
good.
was just,
You better
yeah.
sit down, Lee. What
I
what to tell you? Better sit down.
appreciate that. I've got
Um,
my Maple Leafs. I don't know if you're a hockey fan, but I'm from Toronto area, so
ah,
go Leafs, go.
go. Oh, yay. What do you know your astrology, your
Yeah.
sun, moon, and rising
Oh,
stuff?
of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the everything here. So, my sun is 20 Taurus, 20
Oh,
degree
cool.
Taurus, 10-degree Aries, and my ascendant is 1 degree Gemini.
Oh, wow. So Jupiter's in your 10th house right now. A lot of your stuff going on is spiritual. You're growing in faith right now in a big
Right,
way.
right.
Yeah, you feel that, huh? So
Oh,
did you have a grand I am statement last month? Did you become a new something?
yes, I noticed that in my all my years because I've been sort of a spiritual mentor, and I would call it a pioneer over my years. So I'm in my 60s now, so I've been doing this for a while. So I would say the thing that was coming up was I'm worthy
Mm,
because
really?
I've been feeling not worthy. I
In-
don't know if I don't even know if I felt I'm not worthy. It's like I just seem to not allow myself to receive, or it's taking too long, etc. So,
Got you.
yeah,
Well, being a step 20 Taurus, your feelings are very important as to your sense of self-worth.
right,
And having a moon in Aries, Aries moons tend to be kind of rough and tough. They don't um, really take time and pride into nurturing their feelings. They sort of throw themselves, jump in the pool cold. You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
so you'll find that although your moon in Aries will be all over it and feel like it's too much fuss, the more you fuss over your feelings, the more valuable you'll feel
right.
for you. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I can see I can be very I've always been into when I was a younger person, I was always into athletics and very much one of the boys. Um, and so I was raised with boys too. So, and I have a son. So I've always had to come up against this feeling like I shouldn't show my feelings.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, so I get it. I've been sort of that Aries side of me is pretty tough, and yeah, just get on with it kind of person. Even though I'm going through something right now where I get this like across here where my radar for my body is in my head, and there's someone in my environment that's very that's in a lot of pain and distress, and of course it's like I can hear it even though it's energy. It's not like she's not calling me and doing that. It's my son's ex-girlfriend. And so for me, unfortunately, it's made me dizzy and off, and I don't know whether I'm just going through spiritual growth or it's all of that. So I get a little hard on myself. So it's hard
You
sometimes to feel worthy when I create that.
well, I get the impression that um you're probably opening up your third eyes. What's happening with Jupiter and Uranus in your 12th house? Your higher your higher awareness is awakening.
Oh, okay. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So and right now you're getting a higher connection, and you tend to be a little cerebral anyways with a Gemini rising. So which means your mind sort of pushes it aside. But
Right.
if you all you have to do is sort of energetically command that the energy does not affect you.
Okay.
So because it's all creation
Yes.
energy. So you're
Yes.
picking up on it for the first time and you don't realize you can say I do not want that. I'm not interested in receiving that energy anymore.
So are you saying from that other person? And then with regards to my own opening up of my third eye, is that sort of it's still going to happen, but perhaps I don't feel it. I don't know. I because this is a blind spot for me. I was really hoping to speak with you today because of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it needs to be nurtured. So, the truth is to ground your psychic ability, it's be good to be pay attention to how you feel.
Right.
So to be more mindful of your feelings and feeling the sense of a vibration and energy. So the more you can sort of, you say you're getting bombarded by your child's
Yes.
partner,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So you want to pay attention to that feeling,
Right.
first of all, so you can identify the signature of it.
Yes.
And the way we manage psychic energy is every psychic energy has a different feeling.
Right.
And so when you're communicating to spirit, you're basically saying, I don't want that feeling. So the feeling is the communication of the energy itself.
Right.
Yeah. And at the same time you say, but I still want to stay open to things I need to know or I need to see.
Right.
And basically the world is going to architect it exactly as you command or ask for,
Okay.
right? But you shouldn't have to tolerate energy. There's probably a reason why you're picking up on it. Have you asked why?
You mean just in my own to myself? You mean?
No, to higher self,
Oh,
the
to higher
spirit.
self.
Hmm.
Ah.
You can do
Oh.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
what you do, you know what? It's so ridiculously obvious. It almost seems like it's too good to be true. But you just say, "Why is this?" With your heart. So whenever you talk to spirit, invoke your heart.
Right.
Okay, which means you're feeling your heart in that moment when you speak.
Right.
And from your heart, say, why am I being shown this? Why am I in this stream of consciousness? Why am I picking up on
Okay.
him? And then after you ask the question, you sort of listen, not for a voice, but you have the same posture as listening, right? And if you hold that listening note, most of the time the answer will pop in immediately. And then your mind will question, is that true?
Of course.
Now, what I
Yeah.
always do, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I always take the answer and put it on the table. I never dismiss it or argue with it. So
Right.
the posture to have with spiritual psychic awareness is, okay, what else do you have?
Right.
Just like a yes and what else
Okay.
do you have? And just allow to put, a lot of times it takes some time to figure out what it means.
Right.
So, you know, but you want to allow it. If you start arguing about its validity or truth, you
Right.
actually shut back down. You just shut yourself back down, is what
Right.
you do.
Right.
And I've always found that it makes a lot of sense. You'll also learn where to start to distinguish how your own mind will hijack it. So a lot of times people get a psychic like, oh, he's going to break up with you.
Mm.
Well, that's the last thing you want to hear. So your mind starts to argue, right? And so
Right.
a lot of people actually get the right answer and then they talk themselves out of the answer because they don't like it,
Right.
right? And their
Right.
minds. So part of being psychic aware is just that you allow and you don't argue,
Right.
and you just put it on the table and you just say, "We'll see." And sometimes when you're wrong, you'll realize why you were
Right.
wrong. When you replay it, a lot of
Yeah.
times when you're wrong, it's because your heart didn't want to hear that,
Wasn't
and
ready for
you
it.
can replay the moment, and you'll see, you'll remember the moment where you knew that was true and you pushed anyways. Like you'll actually revisit the moment where you denied the truth. And so once you catch yourself denying the truth, and in the future, when it comes back up again, that temptation, you can mark it right away. Oh, that's me denying the truth again. And so you end up just massaging out these little wrinkles till you get to the point where you just get a reading and you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I'm good at getting stuff, what I call easy stuff, because 15 years ago I was on my back, you know, with illness, this dizziness illness for a very long time. So I think what happens to me is I go into fear, and I don't even want to stop and hear the answer because I get so overwhelmed by it.
Mm.
I laughed because I was looking at my Chiron. Now I'm just learning about all this stuff, but I was reading one night. My Chiron is in Pisces,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that what I read was that my whole thing has been about faith. The thing when I get into this situation where I get dizzy and whatever happens, I think, oh yeah, I'm being forsaken. So that's what gets on top of me being able to hear what is truly there versus trying to answer this silly whatever I'm making up about it. Like I'm not worthy, I'm not whatever. So I am going through that. Like I'm really working through that. Maybe this is a good week to continue to, you know, work on that I am statement and really believe that.
In your heart, just affirm it in your heart, know it in your
Okay.
heart. What degree is your Chiron?
It is 6 degree Pisces.
Okay, so your your karma was your relationship to yourself. So somewhere you failed yourself.
Mm,
You maybe lost faith in yourself,
mm,
basically,
yes,
um, or you were talked out of. You could have also, like if you're in a cult or something, if that was the past life, you could have been talked out of your relationship to yourself, talked out of your sovereignty,
right,
and might have given up your sovereignty for a spiritual organization, maybe what it is too.
right, right. Because I really see betrayal as a huge thread for me,
Hmm.
and been betrayed by, well, my ex-husband mainly, um, 15 years ago, and but I also know my challenge is not to betray myself.
Ah, yeah. Well, if you listen to your heart, you know, before you do anything and your feelings, you'll never betray yourself. Your heart
Oh,
knows like only your mind can betray yourself.
yes, and yes, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you
But
so much.
you're about to grow big time. Let's leave with this. Jupiter in your first house happening May 31st ish. So it's a rebirth for you, Lee. It's going to be a
Mm.
whole new expression of yourself. The last time you did this was 2012 to 2013.
That's when I was having this issue of being in my bed and unable to get out of it for months.
Wow.
Yeah, like months.
Wow. So that was what's interesting about that is that means that you really were lacking the nine, the willpower, that
Yes,
moon in Aries, like getting your will behind it.
yes,
Yeah. Interesting. Well,
yeah,
then you can say that this would be your polish then.
yes. Like, yes, like I'm doing it differently, you mean?
I mean, now 12 years later, you are going to find a mastery with
Yes,
yourself that you've never had before. And you're
yes,
going to finally master the. And I think this inner faith and listening to your intuition and trusting your third eye
yes.
is part of that self
Okay,
mastery.
great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
terrific. My pleasure. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm following you and I appreciate you.
My,
Thank you.
my pleasure. Hope to see you again.
Yes.
Happy
Bye.
manifesting. Ciao. One Taurus to another. Moo, 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 moo. Let's try Kristen. We'll try another Chris. And I think it just takes a minute to get out. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay, great. I wasn't sure if I should do anything.
You hit the X in the upper right corner.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, fun. Yeah, these highfalutin technology of IG. We're going for Kristen. We'll see if she sees the. I guess it's not. Okay, we're gonna just let's try. Let's see here. Diane. We'll try Diane. We'll see if Diane comes up. We're trying Diane. All right. No, it wasn't you, Kristen, but I can try you. Oh, Diane is not able to join. So we will try. I guess we will start this early. Um, Rise of Key. I don't know. We'll try that. I don't see you raising your hand, Kristen Oakland. What's 0 degree Sagittarius ascendant? Oops, looks like we have somebody's left their phone open. They've been brought in. Oh, here they are. Hi.
Oh my gosh. I was not expecting that. How's it going?
Good. What's your name?
Natalie.
Hi, Natalie. Nice to meet you. Do you know your astrology? Sun, moon,
Yeah,
rising?
Scorpio 26 Sun, Moon 11 Sagittarius, and Pisces 14 Rising.
Mm. And what has changed in you? Where's your grand I am these days?
I'm still working on that statement. But yeah, I'm working. I guess it's like self worth, a lot of self worth. So basically, I feel like cornered in by the universe right now, and I can feel what's like in alignment with me and what's not. So
Mm.
I have a regular like 40-hour work week. Sorry, I'm like so nervous being on right now.
Oh, that's okay. It's just
So
us.
so basically, yeah, I'm like the universe is saying, all right, you got to leave your job. And I think I have like a lot of like fear because it's like my only source of income. So I'm
Right.
like, I need to go, but I don't like I'm kind of scared. So I don't know if maybe I need like more planning, or maybe I need to do more inner work, or if I should just like pull the plug and be like, peace out.
Okay. Do you know why you need to leave your job?
It's just not like I'm not happy there at all. Like I'm not. It's like I can just feel it's not in alignment with me, and then I'm getting all these signs and all these ways where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm like miserable here. This is not who I am. Like I'm not one to like create reports and like show up at 9 on a Monday. Like that's not like I can just tell it's not who I am. And I mean, I have ideas of what I want to do, but I realize as long as I'm in this job, I can't explore those other things.
Mm. Right. Well, the astrology shows that Scorpios are, for one, looking for a different type of lifestyle. It's the lifestyle that you're wanting. You're wanting a different lifestyle, and so I'm putting this out there because if you think of it not in terms of the job, but in terms of the lifestyle, that lifestyle might be that you breeze into work at noon and you clock out at 7, or that lifestyle might be that you're outdoors half the day, or focus on what you want for a lifestyle, and you're going to manifest the job. I feel psychically you ought to manifest the lead before you leave this job.
Okay.
I think once you tell your so the first step is to actually make the decision. Yes, I'm going to leave. So you say, yes, this is it. I need to leave this job. That's the boundary where you put the boundary down. You're not going to manifest the new job until you decide in yourself, yes, I'm going to leave. The question is, when's the best time to leave? Not whether or not I'm going to or not. Once you say I'm going to leave, then you start law of attracting the other options. Okay. And you're not as crazy, like nervous about leaving because you've decided to leave. So now you have time, like there's no emergency. You're not going to do anything like knee jerk and go too far, and overreact and put yourself in a vulnerable situation, because I believe you can really manifest the next direction or the next job before you leave this one, unless you want
Okay.
time off in between, which I wouldn't recommend, because when you have a job, you're more fertile to someone who's hiring. They can feel
Right.
that you feel valuable. You're not desperate. There's no worry in your eyes. You could take her to leave it. And when you're in a
Yeah.
take it or leave it situation, it's a lot easier to get that job.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I should have some kind of plan, but at the same time, I feel like I can't think of anything just because my whole energy is just like, I don't want to show up to this one, you know? So it's just kind of like, yeah, I think that would make more sense to have a plan. I think that was like, yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely have a plan. May I ask how old you are?
33.
Okay, yeah. So you just finished your Saturn return. That's what it feels like. So a Saturn return happens between 29 and 33, basically. And what it is that Saturn goes around the whole chart and awakens your whole being. And then by 29 to 33, you've been awakened to your whole self. And it takes usually until about 33 for the soul to sort of shake off the sort of like, it's almost like a hangover energy of coming through that cycle. And you start to realize, okay, what do I want to do in this life? What do I really want? So most people actually don't know what they want really, or if they think they do, they change it around 33. So you're exactly where you need to be.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's see, you have Pisces on the Pisces rising, huh? No, Sag rising. No, Pisces rising at 14 degrees. Interesting. And the moon is I mean, ultimately, a 26-degree Scorpio is here to be a leader, believe it or not.
I get those messages a lot, and I'm like I can feel it, but I'm also like, I don't know how or where that would manifest. Like, I don't know how I could best pursue that or like lean into it, you know?
It'll be something where you know the way. Leadership usually is simply that you know the way that has to be done, and that's it. And that's why you feel comfortable leading, is because you know this is the way, right? Like a backseat driver. This is the way. you know, they're trying to lead, yeah, but openly, 26 is when you feel your heart open. So for you, what you feel your heart open up to is what you're meant is the direction you're meant to go. And when you find yourself on that direction, it may just be the people following your footsteps, frankly. You didn't even intend to lead. And you're like, oh
Yeah.
wow, people are following what I do, people are doing what I do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like I'm
So
trying to lean towards the more like a lifestyle that's more like you were talking about lifestyle. I'm trying to lean into a lifestyle that's more healthy for the feminine because I just look at all the females in my life and I'm like, we're all so exhausted. Like the 9 to 5 is not really meant for us. And I'm like, I don't even want to continue it because I'm almost like voting for that. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with that. I could do it, but it's like I'm like, this is not healthy for us. We don't like this. And I can tell all the females around me, I'm like, we're all like secretly hating it, but like we're seeing that we're all doing it. So we're just continuing it. So that's why I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can continue. So I feel like maybe like me stepping out of that would have like a ripple effect, like, kind of for the other woman. Cause yeah, I don't think we can do this for long.
you might end up trailblazing, how to do that, you know. But being a Pisces rising at 14 degrees and a moon in Sag, that's pretty much a spiritual messenger and teacher is what. And you may go, what? I don't even know. At your age, I did not call myself a spiritual teacher. I call myself an astrologer. I didn't think of it in spirituality terms. I didn't think it in past lives like I do now. Like that all came on the journey. It wasn't before I started. I started because I thought horoscopes would be cool in video. And so I just want to do cool YouTube videos of horoscopes. And then I can't believe I went down this path. So it sort of just so my advice is really open your heart and see what lights up your heart. So pay
Okay.
attention to, like, just go shopping. Well, what if I was this? Does that make you excited? What if I did that? Does that make you excited? And if you can't think of the actual job title, then go a little bit more nano into the ingredients. I know I like being outside. I know I like being off at 4 o'clock and I'd rather be up early, just knowing the ingredients of what you want. And the more you hold the space for the ingredients and the feelings you want to feel, you'll start immediately attracting options and opportunities.
Okay. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The last thing I'll say for Scorpios is you've got to really be in touch with your feelings and read your own feelings. So Scorpios are very much usually they pay attention to feelings when they get pissed off
Yeah.
or upset, right? But usually Scorpios are paying attention to feelings in accordance to someone that they're relating to. And then if they're not feeling it's like someone else's energy or whatever, a Scorpio can tend to shut down and not pay attention to feelings because to them, feelings is usually an irritation, right? But believe it or not, you dig in there and start feeling the little subtleties. If I said to you, would you like a blue car? How do you feel? Would you like a red car? How do you feel? That's what you're starting to learn is that there's a different vibe inside you to what is the right way and what's not the right way. And Scorpios are right now being sort of told to put their kind of head down and listen to what feels right and let their feelings guide the way, not,
Okay.
not logic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's why there's like a war between my brain and my heart. They're like, oh, but you gotta do this. My heart's like, but I don't want to. So it's like this like back and forth. Yeah.
The way it ought to be, in my opinion, is your heart goes, "I want this," and your mind goes, "You can't do that." You say, "No, no, you work for me. Figure it out. If you're so freaking smart, then figure it out. Make it work." That's what I say in my mind. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Your
but
app is actually teaching me that. When I hear you say it all the time, I'm like, okay, it's like slowly like drilling in that this is the leader
the
here.
leader is
Yeah.
the heart,
Yeah.
totally, and the mind works for the heart, not the other way around. That's
Right.
why I call the mind the smart ass. It's always smarting off, trying to tell us how smart it is. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not serving us. But awesome. Well, thank you, Natalie, for coming on and sharing your life with
Hmm.
us, Scorpio.
Cool.
Come back and tell me what you end up going with and
Okay.
doing.
Thank you so much for your advice. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a
Okay.
great one.
You too.
Bye. Ciao for now. Oh boy, that was fun. I'm feeling, by the way, if you guys are feeling a little crispy, you're not alone. The energy has been a little weird for all of us. And it's going to be that way, a little bumpy and funky like that, probably for another week until the new moon on Tuesday. By the way, if you don't know, my name is Christopher Witechi. I'm the Sensei to Serious Joy. I own a personal Sensei service called Serious Joy. You can find out about it on humangarage.net under partners and products. It's a daily service that will help you. She was just talking about it, Natalie, the messages. She's talking about I send 7 messages to her phone every day about who she is, what she needs to do. Basically, you don't have to be in the dark. We can help you. We'd be happy to. And if you're not ready for that, well, I'll be back on Monday with Gary. Our Astro Mondays are every Monday, and that is at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. And then, of course, I'm here for Astro Mechanics the same time on Thursdays, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. All right, friends, it's always a great pleasure to be in front of the garage. I hope to see you in Austin, Texas on the 12th at the Human Garage event. Until next time, much love. Live, love, be.